Is there more to this Lamar Jackson situation than what meets the eye? We talk about it in this episode, and as always, you can watch or listen to Flock Nation Speaks on all the major podcasting platforms, some of your favorites, and where your favorite podcasts are, Flock Nation Speaks is there too. You can always watch Flock Nation Speaks as well, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We're going to get into this discussion. Make sure you get your popcorn, get your drink, and be ready for a good discussion about some Ravens football and maybe a little bit of something else. Who knows? All right, welcome into Flock Nation Speaks. Flock Nation Speaks. Flock Nation Speaks, your Baltimore Ravens podcast, where we talk about the best team in NFL history. If you're a Ravens fan, what has Lamar done to not deserve to get paid? I am a huge Joe Flacco. I'm talking about shut down. Like you're not throwing on Jimmy Smith. Joe is criminally underrated. Lock him up in cuffs. Criminally underrated. Like Lamar's put this team in the top 5 offense for the first time in 20 years. Got the arm talent. Jay Cutler had it too. I don't care about this argument against total TDs and all this. Is Lamar Jackson winning games? Is he making the playoffs every year? Oh, you want to talk about defense? Oh. Until next time. All right, what is going on, good people? We are back at it again. Fly Nation Speaks, your favorite Baltimore Ravens podcast that covers the best team in NFL history. If you're a Ravens fan, of course. Look, real quick, got a quick video for y'all today, quick audio for y'all today, depending on where you're listening, where you're watching at. But we're going to talk about this Lamar Jackson situation, right? And one more time, right? And probably not the last time, probably not the first time, right? But one more time. So I got, the cool thing about social media and Facebook and Twitter and all these things is you can kind of hear different people's opinions about stuff. And a lot of people have been hitting the panic button. Lamar Jackson, he requested a trade. Oh my goodness, what is going on? What is going to happen? What are we going to do? I've heard a lot of people say we're going to be okay. I've heard a lot of people say hit the panic button. So which one is it, right? Is it time to rebuild because of this? Or is it time to kind of just feel the needs you have to feel and continue to stack? But it did make me think, right? Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson asked for a trade, right? Could this just be another negotiation tactic? Why wouldn't it be, right? Hasn't everything else been? He's his own agent. He can say what he needs to say to, is it any different than scrubbing your stuff off Twitter, your Ravens stuff off Twitter, taking the Ravens out of your bio, liking a jersey swap that somebody made on Twitter or something? Like, is it any different than that, right? And a lot of people might say, yeah, it's a little different because, it's asking for a trade, and EDC is pretty good at, it's pretty good with granting trades if you want to be traded. But at the same time, I think Lamar does want to be in Baltimore, right? I think Lamar wants to be in Baltimore. I think he wants to stay in Baltimore. But I think there are some frustrations, right? And even in the tweet, he said, it's not necessarily about anything but the money at this point, right? He kind of just said, I love the Ravens, right? I love the Ravens. I love the organization. I love the players I play with. But it's, I want to be paid what I feel like I'm worth. And all of us can agree with that sentiment, even in our own personal lives, right? But the one thing about it is, right, here's the one thing about it. His mom is helping out with the negotiation and everything and kind of acting as his agent and everything too. And the thing about that is moms give some of the best advice. Now, don't they? Right? And something that my mom always told me, and probably something that I'm sure his mom was telling him, is you can't get what you don't ask for, right? If you don't ask for a raise, you can't get a raise. If you don't ask for more time, you can't get more time. If you don't put yourself out there and apply for that new job, you can't get that new job. So what if Lamar Jackson is just saying, you know what? I'm going to put my feelers out there, and I want this money from the Ravens. I really do. But I believe in my heart of hearts, based off of what I've done and what the market looks like to me, I really do believe that I'm worth every penny they'll pay me. Lamar Jackson's already said, number one, he said it in the tweet, I want to win a Super Bowl. He said it on draft night, they're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. And I think he truly believes that. And the Ravens aren't in panic mode. Just got a new offensive coordinator, so a new system is on its way. Of course, you just got a new defensive coordinator last year, and we saw how good that defense can be, and we know the players that's on the other side of the ball. That's the thing, right? It's one of those things where I don't feel like it's time to hit the panic button and reset. And you might say, why is that, right? Lamar Jackson wants out. What if Lamar Jackson doesn't want out? What if Lamar Jackson instead is saying, hey, this is my threat, right? You know, a lot of times to get a raise, you have to almost threaten to leave to get that raise. Because at the end of the day, they don't necessarily want to lose you, but they're just not thinking about paying you in the way that you may think you deserve to be paid. So that's how I feel about it. I feel like Lamar Jackson is saying, hey, I'm worth more than what y'all offering. I know I am. And I know I make y'all so much money, right? And I know for a fact that I know the win totals with me in and with me out. I know I've led the league in touchdown passes, and some of these great quarterbacks that y'all talk about, they ain't even done that. I know I've done it before. I know I can do it again. I know I've been an MVP candidate the last 2 seasons. I know that. So sometimes you can't get what you don't ask for, right? You got to ask to receive it. And I think that's what Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson's like, I'm going to test the market. See if some of these quarterback needy teams reach out to me. And if they don't, maybe I will come back to Baltimore. We'll see, right? We'll see. But also, you know, and another thing that a lot of moms tell a lot of people is, hey, you can't show everybody all your cards, right? Let's remember, right? You can't show everybody all your cards. There has to be an air of mystery around it. You know, there has to be, because if I'm not threatened that you will leave, then why would I give you the money that you feel like you deserve? I think in the end of the day, honestly, this is just my opinion on it. I think at the end of the day, I think the Ravens and Lamar Jackson will come to an agreement. I honestly do. I honestly think that the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson will come to an agreement. Because I know everybody's hitting the panic button. They're ready to trade him. They're ready to get rid of him. They're looking at AR-15 highlights and him throwing the ball, like, sitting on his butt or whatever. I know. It's exciting. I get it. But I will say this, right? You got a guy who's been there and he's done that. You got a couple of glaring holes on your offense. Right now it's quarterback, right? You sign that up. There you go. 2, it's wide receiver. You need maybe 1 or 2. If you get a healthy Bateman and you pair him with one of these first-round wide receivers, you put Duvernay back in there, Demarcus Robinson, you never know what free agency splash you can make. Boom. Offense is back to where it was. Because let's not forget, this offense was really good when Bateman was in the game, even with the cast of characters that was around him. Bateman, Andrews, and another guy, and maybe even another guy is going to be good. Because this team, here's the thing about it. This team is top 5 in everything except for passing/receiving, right? They're top 5 in everything except those categories. So why not sign your quarterback to a long-term deal? Fix the small issues that you have, because many people have said this is a Super Bowl caliber defense. And if you watch this team against Miami, and you watch this team early in the season last year, it was potentially a Super Bowl winning offense. But people caught up to it, right? People caught up to it because it's Greg Roman's scheme. And we know what Greg Roman's good at. We know what he's not. What could this team be with a Todd Monken calling the plays, utilizing everybody to his advantage? What could this team be? We'll see, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, you know, let's just trade Lamar because he wants to be traded, and we'll just rebuild. But I think, and I get it, the Ravens have had success over the past 20, 25 years. And I get that. But my other issue with that thought process is franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees, right? Franchise quarterback, to find a franchise quarterback, it's almost like a dime a dozen. You know, it's a dime a dozen. To find that Patrick Mahomes, that Tom Brady, that guy that's gonna be great, that Lamar Jackson, that Josh Allen type guy, right? Like Jalen Hurts potentially, Kyler Murray potentially. To find those guys, it's hard to find, and it takes years of being bad, which I know Ravens flock don't want to be, and I know the Ravens don't want to be. Right? John Harbaugh is not ready for no rebuild. Like John Harbaugh will leave before I think this team rebuilds. So we'll see what happens, right? I think Lamar Jackson's in a situation where it's like you can't get what you don't ask for, and if the market says fully guaranteed or at least 200 million guaranteed is what I deserve, I'm gonna go after it because you always try to reach for the moon and hope to hit the stars. That's just how it is. You know, that's how you do it, right? You go after everything. Everything is yours until it's not. So we'll see how it goes, right? I know a lot of people hitting the panic button. A lot of people are like, I don't know. I think it's time to rebuild. But why rebuild? Why? Why would you rebuild? Why would you rebuild a team that literally excels in everything, but the one issue that's been an issue for the past 3-4 years? And one issue that's been an issue since the wide receiver talent started to get lesser and lesser and lesser too, right? We've seen that Lamar can make all the throws, right? We've seen he can make the adjustments. We know that, offensive line is probably another issue too. But offensive line is not a deep issue, right? You have a really solid center that you just drafted last year, Ronnie Stanley, who's an all-pro left tackle, and you got Kevin Zeitler, who's an all-pro right guard. So really, you got two holes in the offensive line, right tackle, right? Which that's a whole nother story. Who do you put there? But also, left guard, which I think Ben Cleveland played pretty well there last year. Depends on if you trust him to play well there this year. We'll see, right? So, and then the other one, of course, is wide receiver. Everything else is good, right? The pass rush is getting better. David Ojabo hopefully is going to be as healthy as he has been in quite some time, right? You got a lot of young talent on the other side of the ball, and also you got a lot of paid talent on the other side of the ball. I'm just saying it needs to be a little bit of balance. It needs to be a little bit of balance. We need to add another piece to this Bateman wide receiver tree, because as good as Bateman has shown that he can be, he hasn't been on the field. And if you take a little bit of pressure off him, especially coming off another injury, it's going to just lend well to his health, right? OBJ's still out there. I know that. And, I think even still, I think this wide receiver class could possibly be deep. So, try to find the guy that you're looking for in the draft too. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's time to hit the reset button. I just think Lamar is saying, you know what? I'm going to ask for this money. And if I don't get it, I can come back to the table and say, hey, whatever. I didn't get it. Because, I've heard plenty of people say, Lamar Jackson is not necessarily money driven, right? Lamar Jackson is more like, hey, number one, I want to win. But number two, I do want the right deal for me. I want the right deal that fits what I want to do and what my goals are, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But as always, you can definitely tune in to Flock Nation Speaks on all of your favorite platforms and even your favorite platforms. So Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for podcasters as well is on there. Google Podcasts, all the good ones. And also Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can always watch Flock Nation Speaks as well. But as I get ready to sign off, we see you guys on the next one. And what do you guys think? Right? Is this another kind of tactic by Lamar Jackson, or would a trade be a reality? Who knows? Until next time.